Hi, you might not know me, but I'm Arco and I'm really passionate about rockets and spaceflight. This is the first episode in a series called Rocket Talk. In Rocket Talk I will be going over the general specifications of a launch vehicle, but I will also dive deep into some of the more technical details. Sit back and enjoy the ride. This is Rocket Talk. In this episode I'm going to be talking about the Vega. The Vega is the smallest and lightest launch vehicle in the European family of launchers. The launch site of this rocket is located in Kourou, French Guiana. This launch site was chosen because it was close to the sea and there are no hurricanes. Vega's launch pad was previously used for the Ariane 1, 2 and 3 rockets from 1974 until 1989. The launch site was also chosen for its close proximity to the equator. This allows all the rockets launched from Kourou to go directly into their target orbit, no matter what the target orbit is. The Vega rocket is 29.9 meters tall, weighs 137 tons at liftoff and has 4 stages. The first 3 stages are fueled by a solid propellant, and its fourth, or sometimes called upper stage, is fueled by 2 liquid propellants. The first stage is called the P-80, which is so called because it was supposed to contain 80 tons of fuel. But since that has grown to 88 tons. The stage is 11.7 meters tall and 3 meters in diameter. The maximum thrust is 2200 kilonewtons and it burns for 1 minute and 49 seconds. The second stage is called the Zefiro 23. It contains 23 tons of fuel, is 8.4 meters tall and 1.9 meters in diameter. Its maximum thrust is 871 kilonewtons and it burns for 1 minute and 17 seconds. The third stage is called the Zefiro 9. It contains 9 tons of fuel, is 4.12 meters tall, 1.9 meters wide, and has a maximum thrust of 260 kilonewtons. This stage burns for 2 minutes, the longest burn time of all 3 solid stages. The fourth stage is called a VOOM, which is short for Attitude Vernier Upper Module. The stage is 1.7 meters tall and 1.9 meters wide. This stage is a smart part of the rocket because it contains the rocket's flight computer, attitude thrusters and has a small bipropellant engine for very precise orbital maneuvering. The engine is the Ukrainian RD-843, which creates 2.42 kilonewtons of thrust. It burns a mixture of UDMH and N2O4. These 2 propellants are hypergolic, meaning that they spontaneously combust when they come into contact with each other. This eliminates the need for an igniter of the rocket, making it very reliable. But the downside is that both propellants are highly toxic. The small attitude thrusters use hydrogen. The Vega rocket is built from many parts supplied by EU countries, but the main contractor is Avio. The final assembly of the rocket stages before it's shipped to the launch site takes place in Italy because Avio is located there. The fueling of the P-80 first stage takes place at the launch site, whereas the Zefiro 23 and the Zefiro 9 are fueled at the Avio plant. The rocket can carry 1450 kilograms into a 400 kilometer circular sun synchronous orbit, and 1963 kilograms into a 5.4 degree inclined 200 by 1500 kilometer elliptical orbit. As I just mentioned, the first 3 stages use a solid propellant. This means that the fuel and oxidizer are mixed in a solid. In this case they use a mixture of HTPB, a sort of rubber that functions as fuel and binder to hold everything together, ammonium perchlorate as the oxidizer, and aluminium. The aluminium is used to increase the temperature of the reaction so the rocket motor is more efficient. Now I'm going to show you what the launch sequence of the Vega looks like. I took the launch sequence of the Mohammed 6B satellite launched in November of 2018. The timings of the VOOM burns are mission specific, so they vary from mission to mission. After the satellite has been checked, fueled and encapsulated in a fairing, it is transferred to the launch pad and hoisted on top of the rocket. The day before the launch, a dress rehearsal takes place to make sure that the rocket and personnel are ready for the launch the following day. At T-minus 9 hours and 10 minutes before the launch, the final countdown starts. This means all the people in the control room take their seat and start monitoring all the data from the rocket. At T-minus 6 hours before the launch, the multifunctional unit of Vega is activated. This multifunctional unit will deliver electrical commands for mission management, stage and payload separation upon receipt of signals from the onboard computer. At T-minus 5 hours and 40 minutes, the inertial reference system is activated. This is a system containing the gyroscopes which makes sure the rocket knows how it's positioned. Also, at this point in the countdown, the telemetry of the rocket is activated, which means that from now on until the end of the mission, the rocket is continuously sending its health to mission control. If the rocket is not able to send this data to mission control because there is no ground station in view, the data gets then recorded and sent back to mission control at a later point. At T-minus 5 hours and 10 minutes, the safeguard master unit is activated. This is the Vega flight termination system. If the rocket goes off course, this system makes sure that the rocket is destroyed. At T-minus 4 hours and 50 minutes, all safety devices on the rocket are removed. Most of these are the little pins and things that have the remove before flight tabs on them. At T-minus 4 hours and 40 minutes, the computer on board the rocket gets powered on and receives the flight program. This means that the rocket gets the target orbit parameters and the inertial pitch rates. At T-minus 4 hours and 30 minutes, the inertial reference system is aligned and checked. At T-minus 3 hours and 15 minutes, the mobile gantry opens its doors and rolls away from the rocket. The whole process of withdrawing the gantry takes about 45 minutes. At T-minus 2 hours and 25 minutes, the inertial reference system's alignment is checked again, if needed, the inertial reference system will be realigned. At T-minus 1 hour and 25. At T-minus 1 hour and 50 minutes, the telemetry transmitter is activated. This now allows the rocket to send telemetry wirelessly to mission control. Until this point, all the telemetry was sent to mission control via hardware connection on the pad. Also, the rocket's transponders are now turned on at this point. The rocket transponders assist in tracking the rocket. At T-minus 50 minutes, the rocket is ready for launch. At T-minus 10 minutes, the final weather report is issued. If all weather conditions are good, the rocket is cleared for launch. At T-minus 4 minutes, the computer takes over and checks if all values are within limits. If a problem comes up under T-minus 4 minutes in the countdown is halted and moved back to the T-minus 4 minutes position. At T-minus 0 seconds, the P-80 gets ignited and the launch pad releases the rocket. At 1 minute and 54 seconds into flight, having reached the speed of about 1750 meters per second, the P-80 has burned all of its fuel and burns out. The flight computer senses the drop in acceleration and fires the separation mechanisms and ignites the Z-23 a second later. At 3 minutes and 21 seconds, the Z-23 burns out. The speed of the rocket has increased to about 4,000 meters per second. At T plus 3 minutes and 38 seconds, the Z-23 stage separates. The stage was held on to the rocket for longer because when solid stages have spent their fuel and burn out, there's still some gas coming out of the nozzle from the residual fuel that produces a tiny bit of thrust. If they separate the stage immediately after it burned out, it could recontact the stage on top and damage it, causing the rocket to abort. After a short 18-second coast phase, the rocket fires the Z-9 at T plus 3 minutes and 50 seconds. About 5 seconds after the ignition of the Z-9, the fairing is jettisoned. The rocket has now gained a high enough altitude so there is not enough friction to damage the satellite. At T plus 5 minutes and 50 seconds, the Z9 stage burns out. The rocket is almost in orbit now, having reached a speed of about 7.5 kilometers per second. At T plus 6 minutes and 29 seconds, the Z9 stage is separated. This stage was too held onto the rocket for longer for the same reason as the Z23. At T plus 8 minutes, the Ep.1 stage ignites for the first time. At 15 minutes and 33 seconds, the Ep.1 shuts down. The Ep.1 and its passenger have now entered an elliptical orbit. At the moment of engine shutdown, the stack is at the slowest point of the orbit. To circularize the orbit, the stack first needs to travel to the top of the orbit at the other side of the Earth. Having reached apogee, the Ep.1 ignites for a second time at T plus 52 minutes and 3 seconds. At 53 minutes and 45 seconds, the rocket has achieved its circular orbit and the Ep.1 shuts down for a second time. Shortly after this, the rocket deploys its payload. After a while, once the rocket has gained enough distance from its payload, it reorients for its last burn. This burn makes sure the stage slows down and falls back to Earth. After this third burn, the Ep.1 burns up in the atmosphere. As of making the video, the Vega has 13 launches, which were all successful. There are two new versions planned of Vega, the Vega-C and the Vega-E. The Vega-C will swap out the first two stages and the Ep.1. The P-80 first stage is going to be replaced by the P-120C, the future booster for the Ariane 6. And the Z-23 is going to be replaced by the Z-40. The Ep.1 is going to be replaced by the Ep.1 Plus. The Ep.1 and the Ep.1 Plus are very similar, only the Plus version contains more fuel. This will allow the Vega to lift more payload into orbit. Not a lot is known about the Vega-E yet, but the ESA is researching the possibility of swapping out the Z9 and the Ep.1 with a liquid oxygen, liquid methane fueled stage called Vega-C. That's it for the Vega. It took me a long time to script, film, animate and edit this video. If you like this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I will link all the resources used in the video down below. That's it for this episode of Rocket Talk. See you in the next one.